headlines of this hour on VTV News. General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm affirms Vietnam's commitment to strive for a better shared future for all humanity. Flood-hit students in Cao Bang province face perilous journey to school. And in a world news, tsunami alert issued after earthquake in Japan.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning into 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lilin Lei with the latest updates. Now, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm on Monday local time met with experts and scholars at Columbia University in the framework of his working trip to the U.S. for the UN Future Summit and related events. In the hall of Columbia University, he delivered an important policy speech. Take a look.
At the 270-year-old university, one of the leading educational institutions in the United States, the Vietnamese top leader shared with participants about the tremendous achievements of Vietnam after nearly 80 years of nation building and nearly 40 years of the renewal process under the comprehensive leadership of the Communist Party. He also discussed the nation's goals in the new era. The top leader also spoke about the vision for building a better shared future for all humanity, with a spirit of healing, mutual respect, and understanding. Together, all nations should promote dialogues, fulfill international responsibilities, as well as always place the people at the center of the policymaking process.
The world is witnessing epochal changes. Humanity needs a broader vision of the future. We need to be united, and this is more crucial than ever before. No country in the world, no matter how powerful it is, can address all challenges of the era by itself. Vietnam's approach on each matter is to set aside the past and look to the future. We do not forget the past, but we do not let it become a burden for future development. I firmly believe that with the spirit of international solidarity and looking toward the future as well as the success of Vietnam-US relations, the world can turn the impossible into achievable. We, humankind, must continue to build a stable and progressive civilization for the sake of future generations.
The Vietnamese top leader affirmed that Vietnam will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with its friends and international partners in sharing a common vision and coordinating in actions to achieve the best possible goals for all humanity.
On Tuesday morning, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính met with the Dong Nai Provincial Party Committee to discuss socio-economic development. He emphasized the need for the province to adopt 3 pioneering development orientations, which include developing synchronous, modern, and smart infrastructure, applying science and technology to foster innovative changes, enhance human resources, promote administrative reform, and improve the business environment, and ensuring social security and sustainable development that leaves no one behind. He also stressed the importance of mobilizing all legal resources for development and strengthening regional and international connections. Additionally, he urged Dong Nai to promote its 3 economic driving forces, which are enhancing key industries, promoting high-tech sectors, and transforming industrial parks towards greener and more sustainable practices. During its 37th session on Tuesday morning, the National Assembly Standing Committee discussed draft amendments to the law on advertising. Members emphasized the need for strict regulations to combat false advertising and consumer deception. They called for clear definitions of state agencies' responsibilities in identifying and addressing violations to prevent profiteering. The committee highlighted the importance of improving online advertising management to avoid tax losses, especially in cross-border advertising, while supporting increased advertising space in newspapers and magazines to boost revenue and promote financial autonomy for press agencies. Some delegates urged specific guidelines on ad placements to protect readers' interests. Members also stressed the need for strict regulations on using images of influential individuals in advertisements to prevent misinformation. Since the beginning of September, interbank interest rates have dropped by approximately 1.2%, reaching their lowest levels since early July. Currently, the overnight lending rate between banks stands at around 3.54%, while the rate for one-week loans is approximately 3.73%. Additionally, liquidity within the banking system has improved significantly. In the past two trading sessions, demand from banks accounted for only about 30% of the total supply provided by the State Bank of Vietnam. This trend, combined with a 0.5% reduction by the U.S. Federal Reserve, offers the State Bank more flexibility in its monetary policy. As a result, maintaining lower interest rates can foster credit growth, ultimately supporting individuals, businesses, and the broader economy. In just the first 7 months of this year, tax revenue from e-commerce has surpassed $3.16 billion. According to tax authorities' projections, this figure will exceed $4 billion for the first time by year's end. This significant growth is driven not only by domestic enterprises, but also by international platforms such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon. To achieve this milestone, the Vietnam General Department of Taxation has implemented several key measures. These include developing a comprehensive tax management database and collaborating with various ministries, as well as provincial and municipal people's committees to share data. Notably, the synchronization of databases from sectors like banking and telecommunications has greatly enhanced the effectiveness of tax management and collection efforts. Lâm Đồng stands out as one of Vietnam's leading provinces in high-tech agriculture development. The increasing use of science and technology in farming helps both farmers and agricultural cooperatives reduce input costs and boost their incomes. More on this in the following.
With just a few simple operations on the control panel, one was able to activate the entire automated fertilizer mixing system with a capacity of 10,000 liters. This automated system saves him valuable time.
I used to manually mix the fertilizer and water the plants. It took 30 minutes to complete the process. Now it only takes 10 minutes for the 10,000-liter tank to be ready for watering. The amount of fertilizer remains the same, but the time has been significantly reduced.
The 10,000-liter fertilizers mixture can irrigate 4.5 hectares of greenhouse crops over 2 days using a drip irrigation. Once the fertilizer is ready, it is supplied to the crops according to schedule on a mobile phone. This agricultural cooperative manages 30 hectares of greenhouse vegetables.
Technology reduces labor costs. In the past, it took 5 workers to mix fertilizer and irrigate this entire area. Now it only takes 2 workers, reducing labor costs by about 60%. For 10 crops, the productivity increases significantly, raising output by 20 to 25%.
Thanks to the application of modern technology, the yield and value of agricultural products have increased by 1.5 to 3 times compared to traditional cultivation methods. As a result, the production value now reaches $32,000 per hectare per year.
The agricultural sector in Lâm Đồng has reaped numerous benefits from digital transformation in farming. It has also directed cooperatives to promote digitalization in managing and selling agricultural products. By applying technology to management, the origin of local agricultural products has become more transparent, fostering consumer trust.
At this cooperative, agricultural products are tracked from the garden to the collection point. The cooperative updates a general tracking system with detailed information on each item, including a delivery date, time, and quantity from each household.
Each associated farmer has a unique code. When goods arrive from the garden, I import them using the farmer's code. I save the batch details and import time on the computer. If I send the products and receive a customer response, I can easily trace them back to the specific supplier.
This cooperative has supplied an average of 5 to 6 tons of agricultural product nationwide daily. This management method ensures consistent quality. When products reach consumers, they come with transparent, comprehensive information on the packaging.
I think every household should have a QR code for their products on the market so that customers can easily trace where the agricultural products come from. I hope that the authorities can support the implementation of such QR codes for all households.
In the future, the industry has a general plan for the digital transformation of agriculture. It involves the active participation of agricultural cooperatives in managing certified products, OCOP, and e-commerce to improve the competitiveness of Lamdong agricultural products.
Over the past 2 years, Lamdong province has allocated nearly $3 million to support improvements to the operational efficiencies of cooperatives, develop smart agricultural models and OCOP products, and label product origins. This has helped cooperatives build platforms and apply a digital transformation in agriculture.
Before we move on, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's market. Coming up next on VTV News. Flood-hit students in Gabang province face perilous journey to school. And later on, Vietnam and Google collaborate to boost tourism promotion in the US. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now, recent storms and floods in the northern provinces have caused massive losses for the agricultural sector, with the crop sector alone suffering over $162 million in damages. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, local authorities, and farmers are working to restore production. However, many areas face significant challenges in restarting production.
These are fields of cucumbers and onions that were supposed to be harvested in 2 weeks, but now they are barren and empty. All the hard work that went into caring for the crop has been lost. The only thing that the farmers of Bintan village can do now is to clean up the fields and gardens and wait for the soil to dry before planting again.
I should have onions to sell at the market, but now there's nothing left. The typhoon has never dealt such severe damage.
Rice cannot be replanted anymore. I can only plant winter crops like taro or tomatoes. Watermelon is not ready yet.
Vegetable areas inside the dike suffered less damage thanks to their efficient drainage systems. The agricultural sector promptly instructed people to drain water from flooded areas and plant fast-growing leafy vegetables to meet consumer demand.
It is expected that over $800,000 will be allocated to support people who have lost their vegetable crops. They will also be given materials and seeds.
Currently, the demand for seeds and plants to restore cultivation is very high, with more than 1,200 tons of vegetables needed. The Department of Cultivation recommends that seed suppliers proactively support farmers in localities severely affected by the typhoon and floods.
Students in Ta Gap village in La Commune, Gabang province must travel 9 kilometers daily to reach school. As the most remote village in the commune, residents face many difficulties in their everyday lives. The recent typhoon severely damaged local roads, further complicating these students' already difficult journey to school.
The students usually leave their village at dawn. Their journey to education involves a series of hills and slopes. As they traverse each hill, more friends join them, forming a group that travels together. The whole area was severely damaged by Typhoon Yagi. Students have to work carefully. They help each other. The roads can be slippery, steep, and muddy, with many rocky sections. The risk of falling is a challenge they must overcome.
have to grab onto bamboo trees and hold on tightly. I walk in fear of slipping. In many places, if I don't hold on, I could fall. I've fallen several times but just brushed it off and continued my way to school.
Primary and secondary students work together from the village to the school in the commune center. The village only has a kindergarten, so some preschoolers join their older siblings on the journey. Parents of children as young as 2 years old carry them through difficult sections before allowing them to continue with their older children.
I'm afraid of landslides, heavy rains, and strong winds. When it rains, I worry about landslides. I'm not letting my children miss a day at school. They told me, "Mother, let me go to school."
The students carry lunch boxes on their journey to school. Their sandals are covered in mud. The memory of terrifying landslides remain. Tragically, some of their friends never returned to school, while others were suddenly orphaned. Yet, over the hill, their beloved school awaits.
Excessive smartphone use is negatively affecting academic performances of students around the world, prompting UNESCO to call for a global ban on student phone usage in schools. In Vietnam, schools have long implemented measures to regulate smartphone use, and this academic year, many are introducing even stricter policies.
At the beginning of class, we collect phones in a basket, following school rules. When we don't use our phones during lessons, we can work better in groups and maintain higher levels of concentration.
9th grade students at Thai Think Secondary School have strictly adhered to the no phone policy. While there hasn't been an official ban, they have maintained this discipline for 4 years.
When I receive a message, I might check my phone and lose focus on my studies. Without the smartphone, I can concentrate much better.
Recently, 2 high schools in Ho Chi Minh City have mandated that students refrain from using mobile phones, even during breaks. While previous rules allowed phone use only with teacher permission, the new policy requires students to surrender their phones.
If students use phones without guidance, it significantly undermines our educational goals and can render our efforts ineffective.
Many students have been using smartphones since middle school. While the need for communication is secondary, most use their devices primarily for online activities and entertainment.
Most content on the internet consists of junk information, which is often violent and inappropriate for students. A child surrounded by negative, harmful information can internalize these values as their own.
In the 2023 Global Education Monitoring Report, UNESCO highlighted that excessive smartphone use diminishes academic performance and destabilizes children's emotional health. Consequently, the organization is advocating for a ban on smartphone use in schools worldwide.
Living with new breaths is what patients express after receiving lung transplants from donors at the Central Lung Hospital. Currently, Vietnam has performed more than 10 lung transplants, of which only 3 transplants performed at the Central Lung Hospital were successful.
It has been more than 4 years since the lung transplant, but his life has changed significantly. He said that at the time his lungs were 80% damaged. This was also the first lung transplant performed by the National Lung Hospital from a brain-dead donor.
My health has recovered. I couldn't believe that I would be healthy again. I am so happy. I really appreciate the doctors who saved me and the person who donated the lung.
Lung transplantations is the most difficult technique in the field of organ transplantation, requiring strict coordination of all departments and resuscitation using advanced techniques.
Lung transplantation is one of the most difficult surgeries. We must ensure strict infection control, respiratory function control, and pulmonary pathology control before and during surgery.
The success of the first lung transplant has motivated the medical team at the National Lung Hospital to continue performing transplants. It is worth noting that each following surgery is more complicated than the previous one. This 39-year-old female patient has had the transplant for 3 months. During those 3 months, the doctors and patient experienced life and death moments.
This patient's alveoli have now lost their function and are very susceptible to infection. Without a lung transplant, she will likely die.
The success of lung transplants at the National Lung Hospital will open opportunities for patients with lung transplant indications, helping patients have a new life.
I'm very happy. I cannot say anything but happy.
Every year, Vietnam has about 800 patients indicated for lung transplants, and the demand for lungs from brain-dead donors is very high.
As part of efforts to boost Vietnamese film tourism in the United States, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism held a meeting with Google to strengthen cooperation in promoting Vietnamese culture and tourism through digital platforms. Key initiatives include the Wonders of Vietnam project on Google's online platform, Arts and Culture, which features 35 online exhibitions and over 1,300 photos of popular tourist destinations. The Vibrant Vietnam project showcases the culture of Vietnam's 54 ethnic groups, while the Vietnam Travel to Love tourism communication program aims to revive the sector post-COVID-19. In response to the ministry's proposal, Google representatives committed to further supporting Vietnamese tourism through digital transformation and data sharing. YouTube plans to invite prominent content creators from key markets to Vietnam to promote local tourism, providing valuable exposure for Vietnamese businesses. With 2 billion visitors per month, Google's platforms offer significant promotional opportunities for Vietnam's tourism sector. Coming up next in our world news. Tsunami alert issued after earthquake in Japan. And UN Assembly President urges nations to sustain momentum from Summit of the Future. Now moving on to our world news, several tsunamis struck the southern islands near Tokyo on Tuesday morning following a magnitude 5.9 earthquake off Japan's coast. A 50-centimeter tsunami occurred on Hachijo Islands at 8:58 local time, while a 10-centimeter high wave was recorded on Miyagi Island. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued a tsunami warning for the Izu and Okasawara Islands. However, this warning was later lifted at 11 a.m. local time. Although tsunami activity has decreased, the agency warns that small changes in sea levels may continue for about 12 more hours. Japanese residents are advised to avoid fishing, swimming, and other water activities to ensure safety. The situation in Lebanon has become increasingly complicated in recent hours. Israeli airstrikes deep into Lebanese territory on Monday killed at least 492 people and injured more than 1,600, including children, women, and medical staff. Meanwhile, Hezbollah forces in Lebanon declared that they were ready for an indefinite war against Israel. Thousands of people have fled southern Lebanon due to fears of war. In the capital, Beirut, loud explosions have been recorded. The Israeli army said that they have also conducted precision strikes in southern Beirut to destroy some of Hezbollah's armed forces. Meanwhile, Hezbollah also announced that it had launched dozens of rockets at 2 military bases and 3 other locations in Israel. The German government held an emergency meeting on Monday to support the country's struggling auto industry. Germany's top automakers face many challenges from high production costs, a difficult transition to electric vehicles, and falling demand in the Chinese market. Volkswagen, Europe's largest car maker, is among the hardest hit. Earlier this month, the company announced plans to drastically cut costs and is considering closing plants in Germany for the first time in its 87-year history. Among the proposed solutions in the reintroduction of subsidies for electric vehicles, which were gradually reduced last year, leading to a sharp decline in sales. During the 2-day Summit of the Future, a series of interactive dialogues featuring government leaders, top UN officials, and civil society representatives took place alongside plenary sessions. These discussions explored the commitments outlined in the pact in greater depth. As the summit concluded on Monday, Phie, president of the UN General Assembly, urged all nations to maintain their momentum toward decisive action and to advance the outcomes of the summit of the future.
Addressing the closing session of the summit after Sunday's adoption of the landmark Pact for the Future, Phie, president of the 79th session of the General Assembly, expressed hope that the exchanged ideas would inspire further initiatives at national, regional, and global levels. He reminded delegates to not lose sight of ongoing global challenges such as poverty, hunger, and the suffering of those caught in conflicts, violence, and deprivation.
The Pact for the Future, together with its annexes, the Global Digital Compact, and the Declaration on Future Generations, adopted yesterday, set us on a stronger course of transformation. Together, they outline commitments to accelerate progress across the Sustainable Development Goals and usher in a future that is more peaceful, just, and resilient. As we close the Summit of the Future, I urge all member states to continue to push for decisive action and to create meaningful progress.
The summit covered a broad range of issues, including peace and security, sustainable development, climate change, digital cooperation, human rights, gender equality, the youth, and the transformation of global governance.
And before we say goodbye, let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.